Hello everyone. Welcome back to the User of Bricks channel. Today we are going to create or turn these blocks, their item form anyway, into an editable thing. So if I go into survival mode and okay, forgot to give myself some hunger, so /effect give at p hunger 10 seconds of 100. That should do it. So while we wait for this hunger, yeah, there it goes. Yeah, these items, what we're doing to these blocks, these cake blocks that we created, or I created based off of my last episode of the Lord of the Rings creation in mCreator. In that last episode, we created the cake block base. And now in this episode, we are going to make it so that we can eat the item forms of all of them. So let's go back into creative. Yeah, so as you can see, all of these cakes you can eat. Yeah. And then over here I have some other blocks as well that you can eat as well. I'll actually show you how I did that. This works for nearly every single block. But before we continue on with this episode, I need to tell you that I have created a Patreon page. If you don't know what Patreon is, it is a site where creators like me can create what is called a Patreon page where people can support them. They can donate to them so that they can continue creating and doing what they do. So I have created this page in the light of I have realized that I won't be able to continue doing YouTube, one of the things I most enjoy, unless I get support, unless I can make this a quote-unquote job. So if you could help me by supporting me there on Patreon, that would help immensely. Now, let's get into the actually rather simple code for creating the items of these blocks to be edible. Okay, so when you go into the code file for your block, I am using my apple crumble cake block as an example. If you followed my last tutorial, your actual block class should look like this, using the base cake block down here, or whatever you named your base cake class. So yeah, also this, what I'm using right here, as you can see up here, is I'm using a snapshot version. So I updated the mod and where everything is to the next version. So I also changed up a few things. The block base is no longer in its own folder. I moved it into the same folder that all of the block classes or elements that mCreator creates. I moved it into the same folder as those. If you didn't know, for mCreator 2020.2, they have changed it up. So from what I could tell so far, each element has its own folder. So all the item groups are in their own folder, all the items are in their own folder, and all the blocks. I'd assume that's the same for all the others. I have not tested it yet, but I'd assume that's what it is. So don't freak out when you see stuff change when you update. And also, any of the custom classes, you will want to copy or duplicate your workspace before, because any custom classes that you create will get erased, unfortunately. So by duplicating your workspace and updating one version of that workspace, you can then go back to the old version of the workspace, copy the content of those classes into the new workspace, and you have it back. It shouldn't take you more than perhaps 10 minutes. It's really no true big deal. So let's get on with this. So as I said before, your class probably looks very similar to this right now. Again, if you followed my last cake block-based tutorial. It shouldn't matter if you're doing it on another kind of block because of certain things and how the game goes about doing food. So, for the cake block specifically, and actually not quite specifically, to add the food parameters to your block, you need to go right here in between these two parentheses where I'm creating this space. It is right before the .set registry name. Right in here, this is where we are going to be working. So you'll need to type dot, and this may bring up a window for you. I have my settings changed so that it doesn't. Sometimes that is helpful, sometimes it isn't. I go back and forth. But after this dot, you want to type food. Then you want to open and immediately close some parentheses just so that you don't lose how many parentheses. There are quite a few. Every time you open one, you want to immediately close it so that you know that you don't have a random open parenthesis or a random closed parenthesis messing up all your code, and it may take you an hour to figure that out. It can get quite annoying in that sense. So right inside the parentheses you just created, you want to create another set, and inside that set you will want to type new. Why am I typing so awfully? New capital F food dot capital B UILDER, so food.builder, and that you will want to follow up with another set of parentheses. As I said before, there are quite a few. You don't need to put anything inside of those parentheses. You want to go outside of the parentheses. You just put the food.builder inside. You want to type dot lowercase h hunger, and then another set of parentheses there. Now I'm going to go through just to make sure, yes, everything is in line. Okay, so here is where you put your first parameter for your food. As you can probably tell, hunger. That has to do with your hunger bar. This is how many half haunches of hunger your food gives you. So you can just put this in as a number. You don't need to have any letter after it. In coding, there are different kinds of numbers. So there's floats, which have an F after them. And then there's also doubles, which have a D after them. I won't go into specifically what those are, but just know they exist and they do change how the code works. So inside your hunger, you need to place a certain amount of food. For this apple crumble block, I'm pretty much taking the amount of food gotten from each slice in the cake, and I already have added them together, and that would equal 7 half haunches of food. So after this, that is all the hunger. If you want saturation, you can add saturation. You obviously don't have to. So, yeah. So to add saturation, you dot saturation with a lowercase s. So SATURATION. And then another set of parentheses after that. Inside of this will be a float. So it's 0.0f. The 0.0, you always need the 0.0 afterwards. For some reason, floats are a little bit odd and do that. For a full bar of saturation, that would be equal to 2.0f. 2.0f is a full hunger bar's worth of saturation. You can go higher if you want to. It works, but again, there's really no need to. For my custom cake apple crumble block, I have added up all the saturation, and it also goes to 7, or in this case, 0.7. Yeah, and just to let you know, for hunger, the max hunger bar's worth is 20. So keep that in mind. After you have added all of this, and if you want to stop here, you can. You want to end with a dot build with a parentheses afterwards. Otherwise, your food won't work, and the game, or when you try to load it in game, you'll get odd error, and I'm not specifically remembering what that error is, but just know that you absolutely need this dot build with the parentheses that I have selected here. And if this is all you want to do with your item version, that's great. You can end here and that's it. But for foods, you can add some potion effects. So just to show you, I have a util that I'm going to eventually start using for all of my different drinks. If you didn't know, I'm creating the Lord of the Rings mod, or recreating it based off of someone else's creation. In their creation is a 1.7.10 version of the mod. I am updating it, or trying to anyway. So in here, I have a bunch of different drinks. So I've got water. It doesn't do anything. I just added that in just because. But down here, you can see in the drawn yellow, I have added a effect over here. If you don't recognize it immediately, this is the new food.builder. I have all of these spaced out just so that it's easier for me to see, because there are a lot of different things in here. And yeah, so for the effects, that's what they're called in the code. It's the potion effects. You can see potion effect. That's where they get the effect from. So to add an effect, you need to add before the dot build. Before it, you need to add dot effect, the parentheses, and then a new effect instance, another set of parentheses, effects and a list of all of the different effects should pop up for you if you haven't changed your settings. Otherwise, you can go into the effects class. Let me go up to the top. So effects is in net.minecraft.potion.effects. So let's go there real quick. So in your top thing in your external libraries, you have got net, Minecraft, and then we need to look for potion right there. and then effects. In here, is a list of the effects. So there's speed, slowness, haste, mining fatigue, etc., etc. You have access to all of them. For custom effects, I haven't specifically gone into how to add that sort of thing, but you should be able to figure out just by creating a new procedure that would add the effect and then looking at the code of that procedure. It's probably going to be similar to the new effects instance, whatnot. You'll probably see that in there. Anyway, after you have your effects dot whatever your effect is, you need a comma, and then this is the, I believe, time. I believe it's the time. I'm not specifically remembering, but it would make sense that this would be the time. And then right after that is the power level. So say for jump boost. Take jump boost, for example. It has jump boost, just plain jump boost, and then there's also jump boost 2. Or I forget what exactly they call it in game, but there's the second level that enables you to jump higher. This number just makes the effect greater in power, not length. That's what is before. And then after you need outside of the parentheses, as you can see, you need a comma and then a 1.0 f or a float. This float, I'm not remembering what it does. You could probably just leave it to a 1.0 f and you should be just fine. And then again, the dot build at the end. So to tell you real quick what this class is, it's just a list of a lot of foods. So instead of just declaring them in the actual class here, like I have shown you here, the dot food, whatnot, you can add them a slightly different way. And that's what I have here. I'm forgetting exactly, but I can quickly show you. So if we go into item, and then we need to find the items class. Here we are. And then we can search by doing Command F if you're on a Mac or Control F if you're on Windows. And then you can search in Apple, click Enter, and it'll bring you to the Apple. I just use this for a reference. So here you can see .food, foods.apple. Foods is a class that the Minecraft developers created. That's exactly like my LOTR drinks class. It has a list of a bunch of foods. So, yeah. And this is pretty much what they look like. They also have certain effects for like the golden apple and stuff like that. If you want to create a class like this, you can see it on screen. It's also on the GitHub. The GitHub has all of everything from this mod, so you can look at all of my code and pretty much replicate it. Anyway, you can see it's foods.apple. That's just because it's calling the name of the variable, I guess you could say. But it's a public static final, technically is what it is. It'll be a food final, and then the name of the food. I have all of these lowercase. I probably should, since they're all finals, to make them capitalized, but it doesn't really make a difference. So that's what this is. I'll probably use it later on for drinks, as the class says. Yeah, oh, I probably shouldn't have gone that out because I want to show you. Let's give night breathing. Not night breathing. Night vision. So the effect night vision, I'll just add it real quick to the apple crumble block. So before your dot build, add it in. I have it right here. So yeah, as this is super simple, let's head in game and test it out. Oh, before I continue on to there, I almost forgot. I forgot the imports for this. I recently, like yesterday, figured out an actually much easier way than going through and finding the imports that you need. You can go and just reformat code and imports, and it automatically puts the imports you need in there. So for us, that would be .food, and I believe probably, yeah, effects and effect instance. So it put all of that in there for us. We need to save the file, and now we should be able to go in game. Okay, now that we are back in game, we can we can test this out to see if it works. So here's the apple crumble. Let's go back into survival. So game mode, survival. Let's eat this, see if it gives us night vision. Yes, it does. You can see up in the upper right hand corner, there is the night vision icon, and then you can also see particles. If you, I forget how you disable the particles, but yeah, so effects work as simple as that. Yeah, and I believe that does it. For these, it's literally the same thing for just any other block. You pretty much don't have to worry about anything. If you do run into trouble, just contact me over on Discord and I'll help you out and try and work this out. Or if someone else is on there and knows how to fix it, they will do it as well. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more, the next video is going to be about custom bounding boxes, specifically for the cakes and for 6-way blocks, such as you see here. So yeah, if you do want to see that, make sure to subscribe to get notified of when that comes out. And to make sure you get notified, click the bell icon to solidify that. This has been the User of Bricks. I shall see you next time.